All right, we can talk a little bit about the application process itself. You apply for clerkships through Oscar, and there's certain milestone dates that you apply on. And in my chambers, we get, on the date that applications, that you're able to send an application, we get boxes and boxes of application from Harvard, from Yale, from Georgetown, from different schools, just pre-packaged, just sent over. They're ready to go. As soon as the first day it's available, just send them over. And I mean, it's the same thing with Oscar. I mean, these electronic applications come straight through. My judge particularly, he only accepts paper applications, so we don't really use Oscar very much. But the same thing. That first day, those boxes are there. They're right in it. They're right in our hands immediately. And unfortunately, a lot of students take a little time to do that, and it inhibits your opportunity to get these clerkships, because when you're applying a month out, like, these other people from different schools and a lot of places have already sent boxes and boxes of applicants, and they're not bad applicants. These are the best of the best. These are really, really good people. So specifically with your applications, I would suggest you make a broad, sweeping application process. When I was applying for clerkships, I applied to 70 different clerkships. And I made individualized cover letters for about 30 of them. And you try to make them for all, but honestly, you just don't have enough time to make them for all. You can try, but it's probably not going to work. The best thing for you to do is try to find those judges that you really know a lot of information about, and you know you really want to clerk for them, and try and make your cover letters as individualized to them as possible, so it's clear to them that you're not just applying saying, hey, you know, it's a good position, give it to me, as opposed to somebody else. So, and there's also a lot of different organizations that help you as well. There's an organization called Just the Beginning Foundation that helps to place a lot of different people into clerkships, which is also a resource. They have a website. You can just Google it and find them. And it's also. But another thing that you can do as well is, I would say, if you submit an application to a judge, and it's a judge in your area, and it's a judge you have some sort of particular interest in, I would suggest that this might not always work. I mean, you have to be courteous in all things, but you should just have the audacity to be willing to go after something you want. So call the judge's chambers, find out when he's having his next proceeding, and then go to the proceeding probably about a half an hour before it starts. Sit down, talk to the clerk.
Hi, how are you?
Talk to the clerk for a moment, and then ask the clerk if they're willing to allow you a couple minutes to speak with the judge, just to introduce yourself because you applied to that judge. And what that does is it allows you to actually have sort of a name to a face on your application. So some judges might say, no, I don't want to meet a potential candidate because it might poison the pool. But other judges might be like, you know, hey, send them in. Let them speak with them. I know personally, if somebody came to me and said, you know, I applied for a clerkship with Judge Fox, do you think you can ask him if I can have 5 minutes to say hello and just introduce myself? I would say yes. Knowing Judge Fox would meet you and say hello. And what that does is you're no longer just Jim Smith on a piece of paper. You're now Jim Smith who dresses well and doesn't look crazy also. So, and you're willing to come up and speak with him. So, I mean, I think it just separates everything for you, because in this process, you're dealing with a bunch of 10s. Everybody's a 10. So how do you separate a 10? You just have to go through and you have to do something that separates yourself from them. If you don't have, I would suggest using all your professors, using your resources, if they can make calls on your behalf or anything like that, that separates you as well. But I think someone actually meeting you and being able to say, you know, he seemed all right, it's more likely that they'll bring you in for an interview. Okay, now we're at the interview stage. Let's talk about interviewing a little bit. All right, what is interviewing? Interviewing it's a honed skill. It's not something where just anybody can do it well. And no matter who you are, no matter how well of a speaker you are, you're not going to just be able to go into an interview and do it well. You have to practice it. It's like dating. Okay, so if an interviewer brings you in, that means they've reviewed your resume, they've reviewed your writing sample, they looked at your references, and they think, you know, this guy might be able to fill this position. Let me give him a shot. So it's just like dating. You go on a date, whoever asks who, man, woman, it doesn't matter, whoever asks who and shows up on the date, and that means that they have at least thought that this person can possibly fill this position. So you have to walk into them with a certain level of confidence, and people can tell people who walk in with confidence, because if you do have the requisite amount of confidence, it'll show through. And it's not something where you should go in and try to show off your credentials or anything like that, because they already know your credentials. Any interview you have with a judge, it's to gauge your personality, because you cannot gauge a personality from a resume. They want to see will he work well with everybody else? Is he somebody who's going to, if he disagrees with me, actually say they disagree with me? Because if they don't, then what is the purpose of you being there? It's very difficult for you to go into a situation where, to go into an interview without confidence and not show that you have no confidence. So it's a very huge part of it. So just know that if you actually get to that stage, you've made an accomplishment in of itself, because so many people do apply for these positions. Okay, and now when you walk into chambers, what should you do? How should you act? One thing, I think it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway just to reiterate it. I don't know if it'll have any effect on you. I hope it does. But go in and dress as blandly as possible. Just do not experiment with anything. For women, don't have the hot pink nails. Go conservative. You don't know what this person is going to judge you based off of. You don't want to be judged off your clothing. You want to be judged off of the things that come out of your mouth and the way you conduct yourself. So I would just suggest be as boring, be as bland as possible. My judge in particular never wears anything but a white shirt. And so I had to go out and buy a whole lot of white shirts because I don't want to look that different from him. But he can't change my ties, though. You can experiment in some respects. But nevertheless, be as professional as possible. Okay. 3 typical questions they're going to ask you. They're going to say, why the law? Be prepared for that, obviously. Why clerking? Be prepared for that, ask you, obviously. But one thing I do, I don't know if everybody else does it. I know my judge did this, but he didn't do it in the same way that I'm about to convey to you now. It's I will ask a person that I interview. I've interviewed several people for internships and different things in our chambers. So I'll ask them a question, and then I'll ask them the same question in a different way later on. And if they give me the same or similar answer, I know they're genuine and that's just how they feel. But if they give me a different answer, then I know, all right, there's some sort of problem here. So I probably shouldn't trust their judgment as much as I might have if they gave me the same answer. But I do have a little trick. It's an interviewing trick. You can ask the interviewer, what are some traits that if you say you hired an intern, clerk, whatever you're interviewing for, and you're 3 months down the road, and you say, you know what, I made a good decision hiring that person. What are those traits? And once they tell you those traits, because they're gonna pause for a second, and they go like, I don't know if I ever heard that before, because they might not have. People always say that every time I ask them the same question. And then they're going to list off whatever traits they may be, whatever it is. So then, you pause for a second, and then what you do is you find ways to say that you are those traits back to them. Of course, in different language, you don't want to say the same thing, because at the end of the interview, they're going to think, that guy was perfect. He's exactly what I wanted, because they showed you all their cards. This is what I want. So you should try your hardest to make sure you say you are what they want, essentially. All right, how do you choose your judge? This is a very difficult thing. Judges' personalities aren't necessarily, just as your personality doesn't come off on your resume, judges' personalities don't necessarily come off on a wiki page or anything like that. But I think the best thing for you to do is there's a website called Judgepedia, and what it does is it provides descriptions of different judges, so you can see what judges are involved in, and it might give you a sort of impression into who they are outside of judges, just get a little bit about their personality. A good way to do it is if you can actually find your way to the courthouse, you might be able to see how they conduct themselves, and that might tell you a little bit about their personality as well. But it's a really, I'm not saying it's a full crapshoot, but unless you know very many attorneys and very many people that have clerked, it's very difficult to find out information such as that. I'm clerking in the Southern District. My information is available. Anybody who wants to contact me, I can tell you anything I know about any judge in the Southern District, because people do know each other. So I can be a resource for you there. But if you're speaking about other places, I don't know. But the best thing for you to do is try to find some sort of contact to try to find out things about these people. But I'm glad I could be with you here today, and good luck in your search.
Well, there you've had it, how to apply for a judicial clerkship. If you have any questions, please visit us at NBLSA.org. You can email me at educationcareer@NBLSA.org. Thank you.